G'day everyone, I'm Richard from Another Castle, and this is the last interview, so I am slouching, and I am with Ed from Considerable Content with the game Rogue Singularity. What is Rogue Singularity all about? How could you sum up that game?
It's a fast-paced, infinite obstacle course, basically. So we've really tried to create a procedural 3D platformer, which is really based on speedrunning, moving fast.
That presents all sorts of challenges, even just hearing that. As I was playing it as well, it was amazing to see just the breadth of content that you're able to, generate. However, in terms of like length and just like it's a general flow of the level design, how has that been a challenge for you?
Yeah, it's actually been pretty challenging. We've put a lot of time and effort into thinking about how we can really make that so that it stays engaging and interesting, especially without creating levels that are just, don't work together or make it way too hard. So what we do is we basically have a system that creates a path to the end of the level, and then we fill that path with all kinds of obstacles and whatnot. And basically the difficulty is determined by how much stuff is along that path, as well as how fast that stuff moves and how difficult the things are that can appear there. So as a consequence, we end up getting a pretty good, well-designed level, basically.
How are you tackling navigation? How are you allowing the player to know, oh, okay, I know where to go next?
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things that we're working on now, because we're really trying to come up with good ways of linking each level together so that you get a real sense of cohesion. So in the game, you each level spirals slowly into a black hole, essentially. So as you jump from one platform to the next, you right at the end of the level, you'll basically fly to the next zone. So what we're going to do is we're going to be setting up a big machine at the end of the level, which all points kind of lead into, and you leap off from that point to go and fly through space to get to the next zone. And as for the kind of a bit of sprawling, that's actually kind of by design. We're trying to allow the levels to sprawl a little bit, just so that you get a little bit of choice about exactly how you want to navigate the obstacles. So one of the things about Mario Galaxy and even Ratchet and Clank in that context is that when their level design tends to be very, very carefully constructed, so there isn't a whole lot. There is a bit, but there isn't a whole lot that you can exploit to get around some of these things. Whereas we really want to encourage players to think about where they're moving and how they're moving, and especially the way that skills can synchronize and link up when you kind of, okay, I'm going to double jump and now I'm going to roll and now I'm going to slide through here, and that will get me past a section that would otherwise be quite difficult if I was going to try and just, hop through, basically.
You pretty much described Mario 64 because and I think Mario 64 hasn't been out Mario 64 since that game. Even Mario Galaxy, as you said, it's so regimented, it's so carefully handcrafted that there's not a lot of exploitation with platforming. Whereas in Mario 64, there was like so many stars you could bypass, its intended mission design by long jumping, triple jumping, doing whatever.
Exactly. I mean, that's something that we really want to focus on, and that really comes down to this idea of speedrunning, where like there really is a sense of being able to be really smart about the way that you run the level and really beginning to think about it and the moves. We're also going to be adding in there the ability to slot in and out some adjustable abilities for your character, so you can really begin to think about what kind of playstyle you like. So let's say that you decide to take a leap instead of a double jump. So as a consequence, you're like, well, here's how I'm going to, I'm better at leaping than I am jumping up in the air, so I'm going to take that because that's, faster for me.
Dare I say it's quite a forgiving element, but I really, really like it, is that when you don't quite make the jump, you might hit like just before the edge, like a ledge or something like that, and you're still able to recover from that, like roll up. How did that mechanic come about?
Well, actually, it started off so we developed a kind of a wall slide. So the idea was that if you hit the wall, you could kind of slide down and do a little bit of wall jumping to get back up, and especially being able to grab the ledge, because exactly we want it to feel like just a little bit of forgiving. If you got really, really close to there, and the character will grab onto the edge so that you can clamber up the other side. And the thing that's interesting is it helps you pass the level, but it will slow you down a little to play like that, right? Because you still have to then get up and keep running. So we really want to focus on the idea of being able to pass the level, and it's still going to be very hard, but then being able to speedrun it is that next level up. And we're going to be really putting an emphasis on being able to share your speedrun data, and we'll have ghosts that you can see jumping along the track, so you can see other people's paths and share other seeds with people. So in Spelunky, they have like a great daily challenge kind of thing where they can put out a seed and you can race against people, and that kind of stuff is something we really want to focus on.
Cool. So speedrunning is essentially your competitive social sort of component, I suppose?
Yeah, that would be our competitive social component. We also have a really interesting component we're building at the end. So the game kind of takes place around this black hole. At the very end of the game, we want the character to dive into the black hole, and we're going to take everything that we've created in the game and basically shove it all into one level generator, and we're going to pull out all of the... So inside the code, we have all of these restrictions to make sure that it creates something that kind of has a specific structure for the level. We're going to pull out all of those restrictions so it can basically just go crazy. And the idea is that you'll have kind of a social exploration aspect. So it'll give you a little galaxy screen. You'll click on a button and it will open up a completely new level. If you can pass that level, if you can complete it, we will name that level after your character's name, and then you'll be able to explore the next one, and people will be able to speedrun and chase along that path to try and discover new zones. So it has this kind of like endless end game that will allow you to just keep going as well as being able to find like unlockable costumes and characters out in that kind of void area. In fact, what we want to do is really give a good band of unlockables around a whole lot of different things. So if you just like, if you're somebody who just runs and dies a lot, we'll give you like the death outfit, so that it just kind of like, depending on how your player, the different ways to unlock things, maybe little secrets where it's like, if you can do this, then we'll give you a little something to be like, yeah, that was still pretty impressive.
I think this is the first 3D platform that has a booby prize as a costume.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Well, I love getting the booby prize because it just makes me feel that little bit better. I mean, like, I may have just died 16 times in a row, but damn it, do I have this death outfit now.
I'll be eating with this wooden spoon till the day I die. Yeah.
In terms of where we are, we're looking to try and release around mid next year, kind of June, July. And we are currently in kind of full production. We're putting it together, and we're going to begin looking for kind of alpha and beta testers over the next couple of months. And people can get involved in that through considerablecontent.com, where there's like a sign up and you can find out how to get access to the alpha. And we'll be doing a closed alpha and beta to help us really begin to refine difficulty, level structure, all of this kind of stuff, where we can be able to tell, well, how many people are dying, how quickly are they dying, and let's get this so that it begins to feel really good, really rewarding, that kind of stuff.
And for structure, is it going to be like Mario-esque with multiple worlds, or is it just endlessly randomized levels?
It's going to be really structured like Mario. So we've got 5 worlds in production. So I think you've seen some of them out there. So there's space lasers. The second world is asteroids with trees. It's kind of like this weird space jungle. Third world is within the floating asteroids. It's all lava and fire. Fourth world is in gas clouds with space whales flying overhead. And then the fifth world is the surface of the black hole, which has got kind of a big like T-1000 like fluid where it like gloops up and strange, shapes and forms swipe at you. And
are you playing with physics and gravity like Mario Galaxy, or is it going to be more planar, I guess?
For the moment, we're going to stick to being a little bit more planar. It makes it a little bit easier to create something that you can really speed run, and especially in terms of people viewing it. Like online, I find it sometimes a little bit difficult if the perspective keeps changing and flipping around. It can be quite difficult to follow all of the really cool tricks somebody's doing. So no, we're going to be sticking mostly away from doing too much gravity stuff.
Any closing thoughts? Any final thoughts?
PAX has been really great and we're really happy. We've managed to just yesterday get through a green light. So we'll be on obviously PC, Mac, Linux. And we're also now starting to develop on most of the major consoles, and we're just working out now which ones we're going to be releasing on.
No, fantastic. No, thanks a lot, Ed.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, cheers.